Oh, welcome. It would appear, ladies and gentlemen, that John Boyega and the Star Wars franchise, well, they don't like each other. It would appear. Anyway, now obviously John Boyega's character in Star Wars, there's some controversy around that. I mean, there's controversy around Star Wars anyway. But John Boyega has now apparently thrown shade at Star Wars sequels because of Oscar Isaacs as Duke Leto Atreides in DUNE. Now this is very interesting. This is all deleted stuff now as well, but there are some screenshots. Look, it's on the internet, okay? It's there, so people do see it. But I thought this was interesting, so I thought we would take a look at it. It's seemingly the never-ending saga of Star Wars, isn't it? Now I'll leave the link to this article down below in the description box, but first things first, just before we get into it, I am making my own film. Please check out the crowdfunding campaign down below in the description box. We've just crossed 76% of the total goal. It's an original horror IP. Please do go and support it. Please do support original stuff. You know, a lot of people keep complaining about Star Wars. Well, look, put your money where your mouth is. Let's promote and support original films, whether it's mine or other people's. But hey, look, that's my little plug out the way. Let's get into it. So Star Wars actor John Boyega, who played Finn in the Disney sequel trilogies, has thrown some shade at the films while hyping his Star Wars co-star Oscar Isaac's upcoming role as Duke Leto Atreides in DUNE. Now, this is the picture, which is kind of doing the rounds. Personally, I really like the look of all of this. I know a lot of people don't, but for me, I think it's cool. I think it's otherworldly, but not. I don't know. It's just up my street, this aesthetic. Now, Boyega took to Twitter to react to recently released photos of Isaac as Duke Leto Atreides, and he wrote, "Effing L, Oscar." Now, this looks like it was on Instagram, not Twitter. You know, that's kind of just what I can see. But hey, look, I think it looks good. Now, this isn't the shade, obviously. Now, the shade actually comes from a deleted comment. So, in what now appears to be a deleted comment, Boyega threw some shade at Disney sequel trilogies. Boyega wrote, "Why the fuck aren't we get that in Star Wars?" Basically. Now, yeah, interesting. It's not just one person that shared this. It says here, you know, the comment was shared to the Star Wars subreddit, Saltier Than Crate. That's a great subreddit name anyway, and by multiple people on Twitter. And here we go. Why the F we ain't get that in Star Wars? Brilliant. I like the fact that Vanity Fair are in there. What are you doing, Vanity Fair? It must be true to my namesake. I love you, John Boyega. And lots of people basically just sharing it around. Lots of people caught this. Lots of people noticed it. I effing love John Boyega. His character deserved far more than we got. God, love Boyega. John Boyega is truly the only celebrity I do not despise. You got, well, quite a low bar, to be fair. Now, obviously, it says, while Boyega appears to have deleted the comment on Instagram, he did express a similar sentiment on Twitter. And it makes you begin to wonder, doesn't it? This is a man that lost his Star Wars script. I mean, did he do that on purpose? Because that was a script for The Last Jedi, wasn't it? I mean, did he do that on purpose, do you think? Maybe. Maybe he wanted people to know about the film. Now, while Boyega, like I said, it's over on Twitter, so he responded to a fan who indicated his character was robbed in the Disney trilogy, and it would have been great to see his character go from a First Order Trooper to a Jedi. Now, obviously, this is quite recent, i.e. in the last 2 days. John Boyega was honestly robbed of so much in Star Wars. A former Stormtrooper turned Jedi would have been some greatest of all time level plot work. Yeah, I guess it would have done. Now, Boyega just said would have been crazy. I wouldn't say that's really throwing shade. I mean, this comment definitely is. You know, why the F we ain't get that in Star Wars? That's definitely some shade. But interesting nonetheless, isn't it? Very, very interesting. This definitely not shade, but it does express that, you know, he would have wanted better things anyway. Now, Boyega is no stranger to throwing shade at the Disney sequels, because obviously, if people don't remember this, back in December, he detailed that he did not agree with many of the choices made in The Last Jedi. Wow, okay. And then again, this is a man that potentially now purposely lost, in inverted commas, the script for The Rise of Skywalker. Maybe. Now, he actually directly described Finn's role in the film as a bit iffy. Now, Boyega told Hype Beast, The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say that was feeling a bit iffy for me. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices in that, and that's something that spoke to Mark Hamill a lot about, and we had conversations about it, and it was hard for all of us because we were separated. Brilliant. Now, some of that's kind of taken out of context, I would imagine. But then, obviously, some other bits and pieces were noted. So he said that even after the trilogy, the three main characters in the films are still relatively unknown. I do feel even after 3 films still, we don't know them as much as we got to know Han, Luke and Leia. And maybe that's a great opportunity to get to know them a little bit more. Yeah, definitely. But I think most people... It would be very difficult to sit there and say that there's no wasted opportunities in the prequels, even or the sequels now, sorry, even those that love them, right? You know, it absolutely is wasted opportunity. There are some wasted moments in there, regardless whether you love them or not. I'm sure most people can agree with that. Again, be very difficult not to. Now, Boyega also previously detailed that he didn't realise Star Wars believed that Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi did Finn dirty. So Boyega responded to one Twitter user who wrote, "They really did Finn dirty. He has the most interesting backstory of all the new characters, and they decided to push him to the side instead. It sucks." Yeah, I mean, interesting backstory, I would say, you know, from a stormtrooper turned dissident. There was the potential there for sure. It definitely still was essentially a side character, I would have said anyway. You know, it was definitely Rey's story, but then that's a misstep, isn't it? You know, you have an interesting narrative there or backstory. Why didn't you pursue it? But, you know, to say that he should have been a main character, I guess it is right and wrong, because he wasn't, and he was never essentially painted as a main character in the first movie. But hey, I still think, you know, he should have done a bit more. And yeah, top marks. I mean, you know, why didn't we get this kind of stuff? You know, DUNE has the potential to be greater than Star Wars. I firmly believe that. I don't think it'll ever have as much income, but I think it has the potential to rival Star Wars in a mature basis anyway. It's never going to be a low-level, universally loved property from all ages. It can't. It's very mature. There's very mature themes running through DUNE. So it'll be interesting to see how this is marketed. I mean, we're getting all these Vanity Fair articles come out now, so I would imagine we're going to get a trailer soon-ish. But the marketing will really telltale of the target audience for this. But what do you guys think about John Boyega dropping the shade? You know, why the F we didn't get that in Star Wars? Do you think this is him just slowly and subtly... Well, not so subtle really, but do you think this is him airing his disgruntlement at Star Wars? Or do you think it's, you know, something very harmless? For me, personally, we see this a lot with actors. Once the contracts have died down and they're not under such stringent rule of the studios that could hinder things for them moving forwards, we start to see actors really come out of the woodwork and reveal their true opinions on projects that they have been involved in. And I think this is one of them. I genuinely think this is one of them. You know, John Boyega, again, love him or hate him in the role of Finn. Maybe he's at least speaking out against Disney and Star Wars. But we'll see whether this hinders him moving forwards, because you never know, it really might. But let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. If you are new here, do hit subscribe. Make sure you turn your bell notifications on. For returning subscribers, make sure you have that bell turned on and set to all, because otherwise YouTube will not tell you of anything really. So anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're all safe and sound. Take care.